Damn, I can't believe I'm still caught up on that whole Gooner thing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another episode of the Bright Now podcast. We're recording this at 12:07 Eastern Time, Saturday, December 30th, almost time for the new year. My name's Dash, and I am the campaign to my Jock Landau, my partner in crime, the primetime guy who drops dimes. TJ, good to be talking to you again, brother. What do we have on the menu?
Am I crazy for thinking we could still probably use campaign and Jock Landale at this point?
Oh, no, I missed that.
I might be a little crazy, but I'll take it. Today, got another jam-packed episode for you. Going to break down some NBA Christmas action that we just saw. Best day of the year as far as the NBA fan goes. Obviously, breaking down those other Suns games as well. Faced the Rockets and the Hornets. Walked away with a couple of W's there. Going to break down a historic losing stretch out over there in Detroit. Definitely got some thoughts we want to get off about those guys. And then finally, going to wrap it up with our favorite segment, Flowers and Soil, breaking down who we're giving flowers to and who's doing that dirty work and deserves the soil in the NBA right now. So starting it off, NBA Christmas, we had our 5 big games, 5 real marquee matchups with Denver beating Golden State, Boston taking care of the Lakers, Philadelphia versus Miami, missing most of that star power in that one. Milwaukee, New York, and then rounding out the night with Dallas versus Phoenix. So I know you wanted to touch on some of those games a little bit. What were your thoughts? How are you feeling about NBA Christmas right now in the year 2023?
Yeah, I love it. We're going to get to the Suns versus Mavericks game in Christmas, and we kind of talked about it before the pod. We're just so happy that, the Suns are actually on TV during Christmas. We went through so many years of just not being able to see them, and it's become kind of a staple now. And we'll talk about it, but I kind of hope that we play the Mavericks again next Christmas. I don't give a fuck. Let's play it at their stadium, though. I'm fucking tired of Luka coming in here and just killing us. But
does he own the Footprint Center now? It kind of feels that way. Feels that way.
He does, and I have a spiel about that. But let's start off. First game, opening presents. What's going on in the background? We got the Bucks versus the Knicks. The Knicks pull away with a dominant performance from Jalen Brunson, 129 to 122. He finishes with 38 and 6, shooting well over 50% from the field. Once again, proving to everybody that any guard going up against the Bucks is licking their chops, have a career night. And the other guard work we saw from off the bench, Emmanuel Quickly, who was able to be a plus 14 on the court with his efficient 20 bomb. Shout out to RJ Barrett. A lot of people have mixed feelings about him. I'm not totally opposed to him. But it goes back to the big question that the Bucks have. Can they play defense? And as of right now, that's a no. I mean, you finished with a great game from your big three. Middleton's looking like he's coming out and actually being Middleton again after, a year and a half, it seems like, of being that guy who's recovering back from injury. Putting up 122 points as a team, even in 2023. That's a great outing.
Still a solid performance, especially against the Knicks, who Tom Thibodeau, they're really preaching defense over there. That's still something you should be proud of to some extent.
Yeah, exactly. And they still just couldn't get that W. So I kind of want to ask you, though, TJ, real quick after watching this game, do you believe in this Knicks team at all? Are they purely pretenders, or are they sneaky good?
I don't want to call them pretenders. I definitely don't think they're contenders. I like calling them sneaky good. That's kind of where it fits in right for me. Just as far as looking at the tiers of the league, they still feel like they're in that middle class. And I got some notes on talking about the middle class later on as well. But it feels maybe they're near the top of the middle class, but they just aren't quite on that level of Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly. I know we just saw them beat Milwaukee. I don't think that would play out the same way if they played a 7-game series. Yeah. Obviously, we all heard Becky Hammon's comments. Shout out to Becky Hammon, just real ball knower right there. Mm-hmm. And I agree with her that you're probably not winning a championship with Brunson as your 1A. He is absolutely elite, could easily be it's not that I don't think he could win a championship. It's just as this roster is currently constructed with him as their best player and their focal piece, it just doesn't seem like a recipe for a championship to me. And that's with no disrespect. He's still amazing. He looked amazing in that game. He's torched the Suns all season. So maybe there's just a little bit of still hating on him a little
animosity.
Bit just for exactly how he's treated the Suns this year. But no, I'm with you. I don't think the Knicks aren't necessarily for real, but I think they're a pretty fun team to watch.
No, for sure. Staying on the Jalen Brunson wave, I heard Simmons talking about it on his pod, and I thought it was a little interesting. He was saying that 20 years ago, Jalen Brunson is a first-team All-NBA player. The league is just so incredibly stacked with talent at the moment, and I think that we should go ahead and appreciate him. Spoiler alert, he's not my flowers guy, but I definitely think that he deserves to get the credit where credit is due. And last thing I wanted to touch on this, I know it's not specifically Christmas game oriented, but we were talking on the phone, and we seem to disagree about this. Jalen Brunson on the Mavericks, do you think that they're really missing him? I'm personally in the category where I think that was awful that they let him walk. Where are you on that?
I do think it's a big mistake to just let a player of his caliber just walk away and sign with a new team. I think we've learned in the last few years that can really hurt an organization where you just don't get anything back in return. So from that standpoint, I do think it's a negative. I just don't. We wouldn't be talking about Jalen Brunson in the same way if he still was playing with Luka. He just wouldn't have the touches or the ball in his hand enough to do that. And I don't love his fit next to Luka. I don't love the Kyrie fit much better either. Yeah. I think he needs the guard next to Luka needs to be a really good defender, like a Drew Holiday type. I think would be perfect for a guy like Luka. So that's where I don't clutch my pearls as much as the next guy as far as the Mavs losing Brunson, because I don't think Brunson would turn the Mavericks into any more of a contender than they already are.
Okay, I definitely heard that. So we can. Did you have anything else? I'll be ready to move on if you are.
Yeah. Let's touch on this. What we got next? Golden State, Denver.
Yeah, enough of the Knicks-Bucks game. A game we can also run through quickly here. Like you said, a team that's kind of good and a team that looks like they're favored to win it all. That's the difference between these two. I mean, so a 120 to 114, a game that score looks closer than it felt the entire time.
Definitely.
But I just want to ask you first, EJ. Was that some of the sexiest ball movement you've ever seen, like on Christmas Day from those Denver Nuggets?
Oh yeah, they swing the rock around. It's the best type. Like any casual NBA fan that wants to say like, oh, nobody passes, it's all just one-on-one. Throw on a Nuggets game, please throw on a Nuggets game and see how these guys work together. The only person on that team that doesn't really swing the rock is Michael Porter Jr., and that's also his job. That's in his job description on his contract. Shoot the fucking ball. He has the full green light with that team, and it's beautiful to watch. Jokic, obviously a maestro, finishes with 26 points, and he was only 4 for 12. So you hear Steve Kerr go off about the officiating in that game. No, Jokic is not notorious for being a foul baiter or a foul merchant, as the kids like to say now, but he just 18 for 18 from the free throw line. He gets officiated pretty closely to the way that it seems like Shaq would have been officiated in a sense, where guys just hit him way harder just because he's bigger and stronger than everybody and way more skilled than everybody. So I think Steve Kerr was a little misplaced on that. The Warriors have had some bad games, specifically when they played the Suns earlier in the year, where the free throw disparity was just insane.
Even me and you watching that game was like,
exactly.
Oh, wow, this is bad.
Yeah, it's just not good. And so I think that's it. Steve Kerr's frustrations are just kind of boiling over from that point. I don't think it's necessarily a Jokic problem.
Yeah, I agree. And like you're saying, historically, Jokic doesn't have the best whistle in the world, but shit, 18 for 18 is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. But sticking with the Nuggets as a whole as a team, like I know people say it as a joke all the time, like they unironically play the right way, and there's just no other words to describe it. I mean, whenever there's a mismatch, they feed, the double comes, they kick it to the man who's doubled, they let them scramble, give it right back to the mismatched layup, or it's cut through pass, wide open three. It's just too many times, and like you said, the conductor is obviously Nikola Jokic, but we look at the rest of the starting lineup. I mean, Murray with 28, MPJ with 19, Aaron Gordon with 16, KCP with 16. It's just beautiful basketball to watch, and that's only one side of the equation in this game. The Golden State Warriors, I mean, we see Curry struggle once again on Christmas. I have some stats right here that show he is averaging, where is it at, 15 points on Christmas on 31% from the field and 20% from three-point land.
And they've been playing on Christmas every year for about 10 since years, maybe?
Yeah, since that's what it feels like.
Yeah, like, come on. They've been up there. They've been a part of that upper echelon of those 10 best teams. Because that's really what the Christmas Day games are. It's supposed to be kind of the 10 best teams are projected to be at the start of the season. And, yeah, the Warriors are just still continue to struggle. Steph just does not have enough help. I think that's clear as day if you watch the team. especially now when you can just key in on him so much harder than you can on anybody else. Like, there's nobody else in that team that you're really scared of. Like, I like Brandon Pajemski. Are you really gonna you're gonna let him shoot it 10 times out of 10 if you're thinking about it's him or Steph? So Warriors are still struggling. I don't know if I see a path to turning things around totally. A lot of people, they got a lot of trade buzz about them. I don't necessarily see the move out there or the player out there that's going to flip this whole thing around for them.
Yeah, and like you said, continuing on with the people, he's by himself out there, Steph. And like you said, there's really no trades. They've already kind of not set in stone, but it seems like they're not willing to trade Clay, even though he finishes this game with 9 points, 25% shooting, which is it's super unfortunate because all year me and you have been talking about how where the hell is Andrew Wiggins, and he finally balls out this game, but nobody else. And it's just not sad. I'm not feeling sad for an organization that has all these rings. I mean, fuck off, but. It just is what it is at the moment. I'm with you. I don't see any path there. Last thing I wanted to touch on about the Nuggets is that right now they're currently 8th in defensive rating in the entire league, and it looks like that they can get a stop at any point at the end of games, and some similar to last year throughout the playoffs, and it looks like they're implementing it into this regular season.
Well,
so.
You saw Mike Malone came out and said that, hey, we think KCP is a first-team all-defense guy. Like, he's just really getting in people on defense. That's probably my favorite thing about the Nuggets is that everybody just has such a clear and defined role and knows what they need to do to be successful for the team. Something that I think the Suns are really missing. I just don't think we have that same level of definition of roles. Everyone's trying to do everything, and it's just not working out for us.
Thank you, Eric Gordon. I need more touches. Going on to the next game. Yeah, Eric, don't have enough touches, Gordon. Thank you. Yeah. Going on to the Celtics versus Lakers. There's also not... I mean, these Christmas games I did enjoy, and I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm just blowing them off, but there's just not a ton to talk about in this game. I mean, except for the fact that Anthony Davis is really good at basketball still when he decides to feel like it, and that the Celtics are godlike teams, is a godlike team at this point, right?
That's how it feels. The whole, again, kind of like with that Nuggets, kind of a similar scoring breakdown from those starters with 25 from Tatum, 18 from Holiday, 28 from Porzingis, 18 from Derek White, 19 from Jaylen Brown. They've said it all year. It's the best starting 5 in basketball right now, and they continue to show that dominance. I still think that they're the favorite to come out of the East. I don't think I'm breaking any news with that take. But definitely... not the most exciting game in the world. I do think at the end of the day, I know we were going to talk about this in a minute, I think the Bucks-Knicks game was probably the most fun out of all these games that day, but definitely just kind of crazy to see AD gets a 40-piece, but the Lakers come away with a loss. Like, that's pretty rare. And it doesn't help that LeBron was shot 5 for 14, but the Celtics just really put it on him.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what it is. They put it on them. Pookie Bear, he didn't come out to perform as he usually does on Christmas Day. So the correlation with Anthony Davis having a really good game usually correlates into wins. The Lakers just haven't been looking good as a whole at all recently. So we might touch on that later in the podcast. But I did want to touch on the Celtics real quick. As you said, do you think that anybody is going to stop them regardless? I mean, let's go ahead and just be complete overreactors and say that Denver makes it all the way to the end. I mean, is Pingus one of the best pieces in Al Horford to go up against someone like Nikola Jokic?
Yeah, it definitely it helps them. They got a decent amount of guys that they could throw at Jokic to at least try. I'd still probably lean Nuggets in that series, just taking the best player on the court, I think, is the bigger difference maker. Yeah. But as far as even just getting to the finals, I think the Celtics should have they easily have a path to get there as long as they don't get beat by the power of friendship Heat again. Because who knows what you can't. It seems like we can never count those guys out now. So it's kind of a wait and see. But it seems like this is just going to continue for the rest of the year.
I agree. All right. Then going on next, we have, as you mentioned earlier, the bum-ass game where there was 0 star power. And I'll be honest to you, TJ, and the fans of the Bright Now podcast, I did not watch this game. I had to go film a video for the Christmas Mavericks versus Suns game. No JB, no Embiid. I didn't have a ton of interest in it. But I mean, shout out to the Dame trade package. I like that little meme that you sent me. I'll put it up on the podcast right here. You just got beat by the Dame trade package.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. We had it on at the house as we were doing our Christmas stuff. Just wasn't nearly as locked into that one as I had been to other ones. Jaime Jaquez looks awesome. I just love the way that dude plays. He's going to continue to flourish, especially with the Heat. He just fits what they needed so well. Which I think makes them definitely a little bit more scary in the playoffs.
You're a college basketball guy. UCLA. Can you talk to me about that? Were you watching that when he's over there?
Yeah, so he was one of the guys that since he had been around college for so long, he had definitely had like a really solid fan base of like of national people that were like, yo, I really like Jaime Jaquez. Just because when you're there for so long on a team that's really competitive, like making the tournament and things, his game is just really great footwork. A lot of pump fakes, really a lot stronger than, I guess not even than stronger than he looks, but he's just a really strong player, a nice handle, good passer. Like he just has all the tools that you would need. I don't necessarily know if he's going to be a star in this league, but he's going to be a really impactful role player for I think a really long time.
Yeah, and especially like you said, in this specific system, it's going to be fucking awesome for him. We talk about timelines all the time. Is this the best timeline for Jaime Jaquez? I mean, playing on the Miami Heat?
Yeah, it just fits so perfectly for him. Being on a team that's going to be competitive, it's hard to find who would be a better fit, who he would even be a better fit on. But culturally, it seems like he really fits it, and it's just super awesome to watch. I just love that guy.
Yep. And then box score watching on this game, I saw that Bam had himself a dominant 26, 12, 5, and 3 that game, showing that he is one of those top 5 centers in the league. A lot of people like to forget his name. I'm a little sad I missed a Kelly Oubre experience. He had 25 points I saw, and a Mo Bamba 18. Whoa. But then I felt better once I saw that Tobias Harris was the leading scorer. I'm just not a fan of his game. I'll be honest. I'm a hater. I'm a hater of Tobias Harris. He's kind of just fucking.
What did Tobias Harris ever do to you, man?
He's just like a C-. Like I don't know, for his role in terms of how much his contract is. I'm a hater.
That's fair.
I'll be honest.
That's fair.
I'll be honest.
No, I hear you there. Yeah, not much to talk on this game as far as looking forward without Jimmy and without Joel Embiid. So I think we're good there. But hey, go shout out to Jaime Jaquez.
Shout out Jaime Jaquez. What do you want to do here? Do you want to talk about, should we stake in the Christmas spirit, or should we get down in the dumps and then go to the Christmas spirit?
I do have some Christmas thoughts that I want to touch on first. Just the positives of. I think NBA Christmas is the best day on the sports calendar of the year, right up there with the first day of March Madness. I know a lot of people love to throw Thanksgiving NFL games on there. I do hate that the NFL has tried to co-opt Christmas now, and I do think the NBA needs to retaliate a little bit. They need to get some games on Thanksgiving. I was even thinking something perfect. We talked about changing around the in-season tournament a little bit. What if we could get the in-season tournament to start on Thanksgiving and end on Christmas? That's basically a month of time to play those games out. I just think that would be perfect to kind of take away some of that hype away from the late NFL season. Obviously, the NFL does just draw more ratings. There's less games. Every game is so much more important. But I would love to see the NBA kind of retaliate against the NFL and really try to start going head-to-head with them instead of just hiding from them like it feels like they've done for my entire life.
Yeah, and like you said before, NBA, let's grow some nuts. Let's do it. Let's go full blown. We got the international fan base. I mean, it's easier said than done, right? But I think we should go ahead and do it. I'm full blown with you there.
It's got to start somewhere. All the talk on the NFL this season has been about either Taylor Swift or the bad quarterback play and how it feels like nobody deserves to win MVP, especially at least from the quarterback perspective. So I think it's right for us to go at him. People are really frustrated with NFL officiating. The game has changed so much, and I think the NBA is in a perfect spot to really kind of take some of that fan base away, especially from the casual fans' perspective.
I like it. I like that take. Sticking on the Christmas vibes, TJ, do you have one off the top of your head, your favorite Christmas game of all time for the NBA?
Oh, it's got to be that Cavs Warriors game from 2016 or 17 when Clay hit that one like fadeaway over Kyrie, and then Kyrie came back down, hit a crazy bucket. I think that was my favorite one, and just the narrative aspect of that game too, where we just knew, hey, these two teams are going to meet in the finals every year for 5 years straight, and they're going to play each other on Christmas, and it's going to be super competitive every time. That's probably my number one.
For sure. No, and not to copy your flow, that's exactly mine too. I mean, Kyrie Irving at his peak, it seems like, as we take a retrospective of his career, really beautiful to see. I think that was the first time KD was there too, so just really, really cool to see. In terms of visual jerseys, I don't know if you have one off the top of your head. For me personally, it's the Miami Heat versus Lakers. I think in 2013, those are some of the sexiest, just like color combinations that had the all red with the sleeves. I'm not usually a fan of the sleeves, but. What were you say?
I just miss the NBA jerseys, period. Like the Christmas jerseys, period. Like, why did Nike get rid? That feels like such a stupid thing to do. Everyone loved it. Everyone loved the Christmas commercials. Like, I love like the jingle bells with the shooting threes, or the dribbling one that they have. Those are all so much fun, and it just makes the day feel bigger than it is. And now it just feels like the broadcast almost ignores that it's Christmas. Like, at least throw something on the court. Please get us the custom jerseys back just for the one game. People love to buy them. It's just extra revenue. And so I don't get why they would go away from that. I do know Nike's contract on the jerseys is ending up fairly soon. If it's not at the end of this year, then maybe the next one. So maybe we see some adjustments later on if somebody else takes up that contract. But that's my biggest thing. Like, we need to get those vibes back for Christmas, because it seems like it's teetered off the last couple years without the jerseys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't understand what is the negative of doing that. I don't see any personally. Maybe there's some, I'm not a business major, former going into, getting a business major. Maybe I forgot everything, but fuck, I don't know. I really miss it. I think it would, going back to the casual fans, it's just visually pleasing. It's a whole thing. It's like, like
it was the same The same reason they wanted to change the in-season tournament and have jerseys in different courts was to give a different vibe to the games. And I think we could do the same thing on Christmas. Throw a tree at half court behind the logo. Just something. Literally something.
Anything. Man, yeah. No, still love NBA Christmas. I can't lie. Being a diehard, I'm gonna be tuned in every single year. I can guarantee you that. So wrapping up, a very sad Christmas, an Ebenezer Scrooge type of ordeal. Let's talk about it. Let's get the elephant out the room, TJ. Unfortunately, as you said at the top of the hour, Luka Docic owns the Phoenix Suns, right? I mean, next time you come in and visit Phoenix, you better check in with Luka, because he fucking owns it over here. You got to check in, bro.
Oh no, you really do at this point. Just Luka finishing with 50 points, 15 assists. Hit 8 threes, tied for a Christmas Day record, which also tied with Grayson Allen's Christmas Day record. Woo! So shout out to Grayson real quick. At least somebody showed up that day. But really the story of the game is that Luka performance and the lack of Booker and KD kind of picking up the slack to really compete with him. KD finishes with 16 points, 4 for 11. Booker with 20 points. He's 6 for 14. Did add in 10 assists. But the worst part of it, we go into that fourth quarter with like a 2-point lead after being down big at the half and just feeling like it was kind of going to be put away early. We end up taking the lead, but then Booker and KD combined for only 11 points in the fourth, where Luka scored 12 points and had 7 assists on his own, and we end up losing that fourth quarter by 15. So the woes at the end of the game just continue for the Suns. We can't figure out a way to close out these games and to get wins, and that's probably the most frustrating part of the Suns season.
Yeah, no, do you want to get any, like, TJ, do you have any vibe checks you want to get off for numbers before I give you this rant? Because I have something I've been building up for a minute.
So it was just atrocious on-off splits for KD and Book. Like, their plus-minus was terrible. Their net ratings were terrible. KD just flat out didn't take enough shots in that game. He only missed, so he was, like I said, 4 for 11. He missed, 4 mid-range shots, 2 threes. He just needs to get more looks. Like, that's just flat out. I don't know what kind of offensive stuff we're scheming up, but I know the game plan was not for him to take 11 shots in that game, especially when we know that Luka is going to just be the maestro on the other team. Like, we need to put up shots to match up with them. And then again, lose the fourth by 15. As a team, we were 1 for 8 from 3 with 6 turnovers and 6 assists. So again, the turnovers are really bad in the fourth quarter. Our shooting percentage is really bad in the fourth quarter, and it just hasn't changed. Before you start, though, quick shout-out to Chimezie Metu, 23 points, 19 rebounds. I think he needs to be our 5th starter next to our big 3 in Nurkic. I love Grayson Allen. Obviously, he played awesome. I just don't like his fit in that lineup as much as I do Metu's.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. Big Metu guy as well. We'll kind of talk about that later in the podcast, but just some of the stuff. I mean, I'm retouching on some of the things that you said. I just want to preface, there will be times where role players will step up and have big games. Like you said, Grayson Allen with 32 points, 8 for 17 from 3. Our guy, Chimezie Metu, 23 points and 19 rebounds. And, guys like me and you and even other Suns players, we complain and bitch about, we're not having enough help around, there's not enough help around these team, But look at that. Look at what they did. Devin Booker, why the fuck are you trying to be goddamn Luka Doncic? That's not who you are. You are overpassing the fucking rock. I saw multiple times in the fourth quarter when he should have just gone up with the goddamn ball. And Kevin, 4 crucial turnovers in the fourth. I think we need to harp on that a little bit more. Absolutely devastating turnovers leading to wide open threes and dunks. And you have the goddamn nerve to only score 16 points? I mean, shit, combine our 2 star players and we're still 14 points behind Luka. I mean, I don't know, man. I was going to play the good cop on today's episode for the Suns, but Jesus, the more I talk about it, the more I remember thinking how fucking cooked we were as an organization on that cold 47-degree December 25th night.
I don't want to say it ruined Christmas, but it damn near ruined my Christmas. It was the last game of the night out here on the East Coast that started at 10:30 p.m. I'm already getting tired, had a great day, watched a ton of great games, and then just a piss poor performance. It didn't, I honestly thought we were just going to get blown out after the first half and was genuinely surprised when we came back in the third. And then just for our hope to just be ripped out of our chest again in that fourth quarter with, like you said, turnovers. We just haven't fixed the execution part of things. There's just so many sloppy passes that are just passes that don't end up being turnovers but are just sloppy and off target, which is something that I think we've talked about before with Luka, where Luka's the best passer I've seen in a very long time. He's up there with LeBron, Rajon Rondo, obviously throwing Steve Nash in there as well. But every pass that he makes, he'll make those crazy skip passes, but it's right on the money. The laces are already lined up for the shooter, and they're just ready to go. Where it seems like Booker, when he's trying to do his Luka impersonation, is just not quite as crisp on those passes. He's still getting it to the right guy and making the right read, but the actual mechanics of the passing aren't quite as good. And that's what makes Luka so dangerous and why I don't know why we wasted our time trying to double team him when he's so good at passing over. Make Luka score 80 to beat us and just don't let him rack up those assist numbers and we actually have a shot in this game. But when you let guys pulling up these numbers right here, Tim Hardaway Jr. with 18, Derek Lively gets 20, Derek Jones Jr. with 23. Those are not, all due respect, outside of Luka, all of our starters are better than the Mavericks starters. If you just look at it on paper, they are just flat out better, or should be at least. Obviously, not having Nurkic hurts us in this game. Who knows if he totally changes things around, though. But it was just absolutely devastating. Just hurt my heart to my core. 16 turnovers to their 11. We give up 22 points off of those turnovers. We just flat out couldn't get a stop, couldn't keep possession of the ball, couldn't hit a shot. It was just a recipe for disaster.
I agree. And one thing that kind of irked me pretty bad was the Suns' reaction to when, and I'll say it, Grant Williams kind of punked Devin Booker. I mean, he's just a bigger, stronger guy. I mean, that's just going to happen. But then I think the refs realized that he got bitched and just went ahead and gave a double technical just because fuck you, Devin Booker. I didn't love that. I mean, just like you said, we're down all game. It was just more of a punking, it felt like. Those Luka sidesteps and the smile after really just man. Or the bam, Luka Doncic dime to Derek Lively right at the rim is just so disheartening.
I was surprised I didn't see more jokes about the mic'd up audio of Booker going up to Luka and being like, hey, congrats on the daughter. Which, respect. We heard the quotes from them this week. They really respect each other's competitors. I respect the hell out of Luka and am probably a Luka fan deep down. It's just obviously when he does it to the Suns, I hate it. But I'm surprised we didn't see more memes about people being like, oh, yeah, Devin Booker, he has a new sister, and because Luka Doncic is his father. And that's really how it feels, with all due respect.
It does. I'm sorry, Devin. I'm sorry if you ever see this. I'm sorry, man, but that's how it looks right at the moment.
Can we talk about a win, please? Do you
Yeah,
have
let's go
anything
ahead and
more on
talk
the
about a
Mavericks?
win.
I need to talk about a win.
No. My headline for this Houston game was that Houston cannot stop Eric Gordon. It was really cool to watch in that first half. That motherfucker just absolutely splashed 7 for 11 from three. Yeah, being there for 6 seasons in the Houston facility, he obviously loves that 3-point rim. You know what I'm saying? He loves that rim. Nice touch.
He doesn't love it in Game 7.
He did not. He did not love it in Game 7. But 129 to 113, once again showing that when we have role players step up and our stars do their job, we can have mini blowouts where we're up all game.
And when we play a shitty team.
Yeah. I mean, technically, Houston is better than us in terms of the rankings at the moment. I mean,
yeah, we're shitty too.
Yeah, no, we are shitty. You're right.
Let me pull up. Keep going. Let me pull up those standings.
But yeah, I just want to talk about KD went ahead and busted the Rockets' ass, setting his career high in assists with 16 of those things. Looking like he really needed a game like this after that Christmas Day disaster, and he sprinkled in 27 points and 10 rebounds, all on over 50% shooting, giving him an efficient-ass triple-double.
Yeah, KD was absolutely phenomenal, and now we are 1 game up on the Rockets after winning last night against the Hornets. So 16-15, we're the 9 seed right now. Houston's 15-15 at the 10 seed. That KD career high, 16 assists. Early on in the game, I was like, wow, it really feels like KD's just in control and just looks amazing. And he'd only scored like 4 points to that point in the game, or something kind of low. And it was because of those assists. He just attracts so much attention from them. Especially like the Rockets are a pretty solid defensive team coached by Ime Udoka. Like they're really good at that. They just don't have the star power that we have. So this felt like a get right game. And I mentioned earlier about kind of the concept of lower to middle class teams, which that's where it feels like the Rockets are. They're a lower team in the middle class. Some people would put them in the low tier. But those are the games that we kind of have to win if we're going to be a contender in this season. And it goes back to the point we've harped on about having no statement wins yet. So we need to take care of business against these other teams if we are going to be in that upper echelon. Because, if we talk about who those top tier teams are, it's the Nuggets, it's the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers. If you want to throw Minnesota in there, some people are feeling frisky about Oklahoma City. But we're kind of firmly in that middle of the pack with the Clippers, the Kings, Mavericks, the Pelicans, if you want to say, the Lakers, the Warriors. Like we're just kind of we're in the thick of it in the West for sure. And it feels nice to walk away with a win. A little disappointing again, just 19 turnovers for the Suns versus 9 for the Rockets. I don't know if that's a coaching thing at this point or if it's just a lack of chemistry still. But these Rockets, they were dog shit last year. They brought in a bunch of new pieces. Why should they have better chemistry than we do if it's not a coaching thing?
Yep. I 100% agree. And some of those turnovers when I was rewatching that game was a lot of it was sometimes I think it's leaning chemistry, because a lot of points we see that these guys are just throwing the ball out of bounds where guys are supposed to be. I mean, there was a play where Metsu, just threw a bounce pass right out of bounds when he was trying to give it to KD in the corner 3. So I don't know. This kind of makes me want to turn into the next question. Seeing that Ime Udoka is obviously just a really good coach. We'll take away. We still don't know any of the details of what happened, but I really enjoy him as a coach. I just wonder if there was a timeline where we could have got him at all, because I want to hear your thoughts about Frank Vogel. How do you feel about Frank at the moment?
He's just so vanilla. And he gives it doesn't seem like he brings any energy to the table. His press conferences always feel kind of like in low spirits, but he has like a smile on his face. And it's just very confusing. I don't know what kind of offensive schemes we are drawing up. It doesn't seem like we run very many concepts. It's all just dribble, drive, kick. One thing that really pisses me off is that it feels like we never know who to inbound the ball to. And this goes to not having a point guard. But
we haven't talked about that. Oh
we
my
have
God,
three guys standing up there waiting for the ball. Or it just gets inbounded to KD. He swings it to Booker. It's just extra bullshit passes in the backcourt that are just meaningless because we don't have a point guard or somebody that we know we're inbounding the ball to. And it seems so simple, and we just can't do it.
There was one specific play you said that just really rung the bell. It was one time Metsu was just coming up, and it's an inbound. I think KD is actually throwing it in. And then Metsu comes in and just flashes high right here. And just sitting there. They finally throw it into him, and Fred VanVleet just taps it out of bounds. And it's just little stuff like that. It's obviously not a turnover. It's just a deflection. But That shit just irks me as a fan to watch. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? That's what we drew.
Yeah, what are we
out?
practicing? What are we practicing?
No slobs, no blobs. What the fuck are we doing out here?
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue. It feels like we've scored on like 2 sideline out of bounds all year. It feels like we just aren't executing.
Poor execution, team. And as we've said, it goes into the turnovers too.
Kind of my last main point about this Rockets game was that we still lost the fourth quarter 29-25, and no Rockets starter played in the fourth. And Kevin Durant played 10 minutes in that quarter. Book played almost 6 minutes in that quarter, and we still lose to the Rockets bench unit. I know it's meaningless. We had the game in hand. It wasn't close near down the stretch. But to still lose the fourth with, finishing the game, like I said, 19 turnovers to 9, it's just frustrating. Because even when you want to celebrate the wins, but I try not to be too reactionary because we are supposed to beat the Rockets, but we're supposed to do it better than we did.
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right there. I think that's a good way to finish off that game. Next one. The headline is, Suns' big three are back, and I don't know how I feel about it.
I'm with you. It's definitely it's nice to just see all the bodies on the court together. Booker played great, 35 points, 7 assists. KD with another double-digit assist night with 11, so he's really kind of taken on a role as a facilitator, it feels like, which, for better or worse, do what you want with it. As long as he's still scoring the rock, I'm happy. Beal finishes with 6 points, which at first, kind of watching the games, it seemed like he disappeared at portions, which I understood from the fact that, okay, maybe he's just, because of the injury, they're going to kind of ramp up his minutes and not give him too many. But to only have to go 3 for 8 in 29 minutes, 1 second less, so basically 30 minutes of action. If we are going to try to ramp him up, then let's actually do it. Let's get him 20 minutes a game, 25. Let's kind of slowly build up to actually being kind of at a full workload, because he just doesn't seem like he can move right out there. Yeah. He did put up good 7 assists. That's great. It helps with the spacing so much because they do have to respect him more. But just coming off that back injury, it doesn't seem like he can. He's not moving the same.
Yeah, he's not moving the same. And just like you said, it seems like he disappears at points. And with 30 whole minutes, do we really need to do that in a game versus the Charlotte Hornets? I mean,
we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to.
Shouldn't have to. Some of the positives, though, I do look at this game is, Booker kind of comes out of this slight slump that he was in, having, 16 points and then 20 points in that game against the Houston Rockets. Finally comes out and gives himself a 35 bomb and 7 assists. It was just nice to see. And then I know we had our conversations about the Suns' bigs before, but Nurk Dog had him 25 and 15 on Mark Williams. How do you feel about that?
Oh, just loved it. I think we touched on this early when just talking about Nurk. He's going to punish other teams, just the bottom half centers. He's just too big and strong for most of those guys, especially when you're going against somebody like a young athlete like Mark Williams or just anybody else in the league. That's why I think maybe the Mavericks game's a little different, because I think he could have punished Derek Lively down low. So love to see he was finishing the ball really well, which is kind of the biggest pain point for him, is his touch around the rim can be a little bad at moments. So loved his performance. We got him involved really early on, which I think is one of the biggest things you can do for a center when they're not the focal point of the offense. Like, if you want them to be doing all the little things, setting good screens, swinging the ball, rebounding, you got to get them some early buckets. And I think that's a great thing that we have with Nurkic. Loved his performance against the Hornets. Obviously wish we could have kind of put them away a little bit more. Again, in the fourth quarter, we ended up tying with the Hornets in the fourth, 30-30. So I think that's the issue. I know we'd also touched on Terry Rozier scoring 42 on us. I know you had some points on that you wanted to get off. Just seems like we can't stop a point guard.
Yeah, I hate betting for anyone playing against the Suns, but guys, hear me out. We're damn near like the Bucks in the sense that, whatever guard is going out there against us, the main guard, please put the over. If it's 25 points, put the over. If it's 7 assists, put the over, because flat out we cannot keep anybody in front. And as much as we love Nurk Dog, that man is not providing enough help. They're gonna go ahead and dish it out to that big, and he's just gonna dunk the ball. One other team negative I did have to harp on, and I'm sorry, we've talked about it throughout the whole podcast, and you're probably annoyed of it, but guess what? we're fucking annoyed of it. This team threw 15 turnovers. I mean, holy shit, we're the 5th worst team in the league at taking care of the ball. The 5th worst team in the league.
That's
I think
insane.
only behind like Golden State, Detroit, the Wizards, and the Spurs or something like that. So I can't take it anymore. I hope that's a focal point in practice to make sure we take care of the ball, developing that chemistry, maybe finding some lineups that are going to stick. But I know that's not completely Vogel's fault with Beal being injured all the time. Anything else that you want to add on to the Charlotte game before we go into the break?
Honestly, I think there was a real path to us losing that game as well. We just like the Hornets shot 47% from the field, 50% from 3. Just felt like we could never get a stop when we actually needed one. We just ended up outshooting them because we were 62% from the field and 60% from 3.
Because they can't play either.
No, exactly. And there was one stat that I kind of discovered. It was a couple of pods ago. It's a concept called surplus threes, where you basically take the amount of threes that you made and subtract it by the amount we expect you to make. So taking your attempts times your free throw 3-point percentage. So the Charlotte had 6.4 surplus threes. They weren't expected to make as many as they did. They made 6 more than we would have thought. But the Suns had 6.75 more surplus threes, so shooting above that. So we just outshot them is really the recipe for winning that game. Again, losing the turnover battle, 14-6. I don't know how we can't force more turnovers at this point, but easily could have gone either way. Terry Rozier, like we said, with 42. I just kind of left a sour taste in my mouth after the game. Obviously, always great to get the win, but I mean the Hornets they're a lower class team. They're 7-22. They are 7-23 after last night. So we'll see. At least we got the W.
Like you said, we'll take our W's. We want to be completely negative, but that Christmas game was very disheartening. But coming up next, guys, we're talking about something that's even more disheartening for a fan base that's been kind of tortured throughout the last 10, 15 years. Coming up next.
Oh my goodness.
And we're back. And the team, you guys could probably guess, the biggest losers in the league at the moment. The Detroit Pistons. 28 straight losses. 28. It seems almost impossible in the modern day NBA to lose that many games in a row with a 3-ball being so prevalent. You know, you see these upsets happen all the time with teams just being able to shoot the rock great from behind the 3. Just nobody that they're playing is shooting the ball bad. It's just very unfortunate. One of the craziest stats was, I know I talked about it a little bit in the last podcast, but I'm going to go deeper. The worst winning percentage in the league since 2009, the same year they won their last playoff series. And this is during the same era the 76ers were intentionally attempting to lose games. And I would on paper say that the Detroit Pistons have a better, team than the 2016 10-72 76ers, a better roster than the 2012 7-59 Bobcats.
Shout out to the Bobcats.
Shout out to the Bobcats. And the worst thing about it all is that, before the season started, me and you kind of talked about it a little bit. I think I was a little bit higher, but, they were going to try to attempt to, be better than they were last year, or make a sneaky attempt at that 10th seed, just potentially make that play in the weaker East. But, man, it is not looking like that. And let's talk about the rosters, TJ. I want to hear your opinion. Let me tell you the top 6 guys from the 10-72 Sixers. We have Ish Smith. Isaiah Cannon, shout out former Sun Isaiah Cannon.
Suns legend.
Suns legend. Jahlil Okafor, Nerlens Noel, Robert Covington, and Hollis Thompson. Now, would you say, TJ, that the team that has Cade Cunningham, Bojan Bogdanovic, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, and Asor Thompson would be on track to be worse than this Philly team?
There's no reason they should be. Literally no reason. I've said going into the season, the Pistons were the first preseason game for the Suns. We played them early on in the year. I like all of those players that you just listed out. Cade Cunningham is going to be awesome in this league for a while. On this losing stretch, he's 23 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. For effectively a second-year player, that is a really good stat line, and he's doing all he can. They ask him to do so much. He's another guy. I don't think he should be playing point guard. He needs to be a 2. They need to figure out a way to make it make more sense for them. Asar Thompson kind of cooled off from the start of the season when he had just some crazy hype. I think at one point he was averaging double-digit rebounds. Now he's down to 7.4. Still good for a small forward.
Amazing.
But I don't know. The Killian Hayes minutes are really rough. He shoots him in the foot. I don't know what the hell Monty Williams is doing. They go up 20 on the Celtics. You'd think they'd figure out a way to kind of just be able to put them away. Celtics go back on a run. He doesn't want to call a timeout. They put in, they keep their bench unit in, and then they just blow it to the Celtics. Cade had a quote talking about how he's like, I think this game proves that we're in every game. It's honestly, at a certain point, it kind of comes down to bad luck too. Bad coaching is definitely a part of it as well.
So let's talk about it, TJ. Is Monty Williams, is this his fault at the end of the day? You and me being guys who kind of loved Monty when he first came to the Suns.
He won Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year.
Like, it just, maybe that award's meaningless at the end of the day. I've thought about that so much where, like, coaching is the only job where you get fired for being bad at your job, and then somebody else will hire you off of that, like, resume. If you got fired from Target for being really bad at stocking shelves, Walmart wouldn't hire you. So I don't know why. Like, they wouldn't. Instead, they saw Monty Williams stocking shelves at Target poorly, and then we're like, we're gonna make you the richest bag boy ever. It's ludicrous. Why would you commit that much to this one coach? It's stupid.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Monty had a quote that really was disheartening. Like, even as a Suns fan, as a guy who really liked Monty Williams at one point, he said something along the lines of, "We're starting to realize that the offense has better spacing when we put shooters next to Cade." Huh?
No shit, dude.
Is that basketball 101?
My mom could coach that up, brother.
Shout out to TJ's mom. 1-0. 1-0.
1-0 as a head coach. She's 9th grade city champ. She'd be mad at me if I didn't mention that right now. But she knows that you need fucking spacing. It's the goddamn NBA.
It's atrocious. And I don't blame you if you haven't. But have you had to watch any of these Pistons games? I do have a few points. Have you?
Not in a while, brother. I watched a lot of games early on. Obviously, I love Marcus Sasser still. He's shooting 40% from three. He's going to be an NBA point guard for a long time. So I like a lot of their guys. Marvin Bagley, he's from Arizona. I know we're happy. I know we kind of like him, like as far as like maybe not necessarily his game, but just being from Arizona. He played high school basketball with Saban Lee. A lot of people don't know that. And yeah, dude, they just suck, bro. They suck. And I don't know when they're getting their next win, because I'm going to list out their next 8, and Isaiah Stewart's out for 2 weeks now with a sprained toe. And these are who they got coming up in their next 8. Toronto, at Houston, at Utah, at Golden State, at Denver, versus Sacramento, versus San Antonio, versus Houston. They could, like, the best bet they have is to beat Utah or San Antonio, but I would almost guarantee that this losing streak is going to get to 30 games after they lose to Toronto and Houston up next.
Ooh, Adam Silver might have to step in and be like, hey, my guys, what are we doing? Because honestly, I mean, and just like you said, we look at the numbers, pretty atrocious, one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league. But the eye test is pretty disgusting. I mean, I was breaking it down for, just someone casually at my job, like, hey, what's up with the Detroit Pistons? And I said the main thing that I see every time against that Utah game they had at the 24 mark, I really wanted to sit down and watch and just be like, hey, what the fuck's going on? And Jesus Christ, the amount of loose balls, the amount of times where Cade is going downhill and James Wiseman decides to just post up, the times that, our guy Marvin Bagley is like, hey, throw me the ball in the post, and it just runs directly into somebody down there. We see guys just coming over and like, ball standing 2 feet away from someone. The spacing is absolutely atrocious.
They run an offense like a 4th grade team does.
Yeah, like, hey, can I have the ball?
Yeah, where they like run up right next to it. It's basically a handoff, and then you just have 3 guys standing in the paint, just clogging everything up. And by all accounts, I think most people agree that Cade Cunningham is awesome at basketball. Yeah. And he's just not being put in a position to succeed. They're asking him to do way too much. And it sucks. They suck. It sucks. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, they could lose every game the rest of the year. Like, it's on the table.
Who the fuck knows? That's what I'm saying. And it's just like you said, it comes down to like bad luck at points, but I want to go back to what you were talking about with Cade, because I feel like the consensus, I'm kind of happy with Cade as a whole with how the people are talking about him, because you could easily, take the low hanging fruit and just say, good stats on a bad team guy. But I personally don't think so. I think that if he's in any other situation, he's looking a lot better. Fuck it. If you threw him on the Hornets alongside LaMelo Ball, I think he's looking a lot better. I think they're winning more games. He's putting up 40 bombs, doing everything that he can, trying to not really throwing anybody under the bus either. I mean, you could say it's a bad thing. Maybe he needs to go ahead and do that at this point, but he looks like a true leader. I mean, on a winning situation with I don't know, with better coaching, because then it goes back. It's just so confusing because there's talent on this roster, and maybe it does just fully come down to coaching as a whole. I'm just a little confused. Why you talked about earlier? Why the fuck does Monty love Killian Hayes so much?
Dude, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I'm so off of. I was never even on Killian Hayes, to be honest. Like, another guard that can't shoot. Oh, great, this one's gonna figure it out, right? Like, fuck no, dude.
From France too. No,
and then they're saying that they don't want to trade Bojan Bogdanovic. Literally, why? Why are you making him waste his time? You could probably get some solid assets for him. You could get some draft picks. Yeah, at this point, you might as well. Because at this rate, I mean, they might tank this bad and still end up with the third pick in a really bad draft year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, he's just stuck over there. I could see him being on any team. I mean, fuck, as a Phoenix Suns fan, obviously we don't have the assets to get him, but I would love
we could use him. We could use him.
We could definitely use someone like that.
You think we could get him
anywhere else?
You think we could get him for? We don't have the contracts to match it up, and I'm not even going to go down that road. Never mind. Never mind.
You don't want to be that Suns fan?
Yeah, I was going to start cooking, but no, I can't do it. I can't do it.
It was hilarious. The other day on Twitter, TJ was calling out someone for acting like a Lakers fan, and this man just completely folded in 2 seconds. It was the funniest shit ever. Remember that guy?
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, we should trade Beal for MPJ straight up." I was like, "Bro, can we not be Lakers fans?" I was like, "Why would the Nuggets do that? Literally, why? That's just stupid."
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, whatever, man. Whatever. I'm done talking about the Pistons. They suck. Everything sucks. I honestly hope they lose 70 games in a row. That'd be awesome.
Fuck it. Let's make history. Let's make some real history. You already did it once. Let's just go ahead and do it.
Exactly.
But we got that, guys. Going into our next segment, one of our favorites, flowers and soil, coming up next. Yeah. TJ, finish the statement for me. What's more important, the flower
or the soil that grows it?
Love to hear it. TJ, start us off with your flower guy. Shout out to who?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Been seeing him left off of some MVP lists as of late, which I think is ludicrous. He is neck and neck with Embiid and Jokic still. I might even place him above Jokic at this point in the season. Giannis in his last 5 games, he's 34 points, 32, 32, 28, 37, with the best true shooting percentage of his career at 64%, which has always been the knock on him, just not being efficient enough as a shooter. In those same games, his rebounds are 16, 10, 13, 7, and 10. He's still the engine of the Milwaukee Bucks and keeping them alive. For all the talk about the Bucks struggling this year, they're 24-8. And they're 1.5 games back of the 1 seed Boston. So I know everyone's freaking out about their defense. They're 16-2 at home still. So, I mean, that he's doing his thing. And right now, his stat line for this season, he's got 30 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 60% shooting from the field, just pure field goal percentage. He would be the first player ever with that stat line if it kept up for the entire year.
And I don't see that. Like, I don't see what would waver him from not continuing that, right?
Exactly. The only thing that could stop him is himself at this point.
And it's so crazy. It's just, like you said, obviously, I don't want to stray away from Giannis, but, it is a very insane MVP year. I mean, as low as we are, or as I am, I won't speak for you 100%. Joel Embiid averaging 35 points at the moment is absolutely absurd.
Insane. It's just him missing Christmas. It still feels like a chump move to me. When he just played pretty recently, that's just a chump move. And he has a lot of those on his resume. That he does.
How about the Jokic, the second game against Jokic, where Jokic finally got his gift?
So I don't know if I totally have Giannis ahead of Jokic right now in the MVP race. The last few weeks, I think he has very clearly played better. Jokic has had some stinkers in the last few weeks, just shooting poorly from the field. But yeah, got to give my flowers to Giannis. He's still top 2 players in the league. If you want to put Jokic up there, I'm fine if you put him above him. He's just absolutely amazing and is just keeping the Bucks competitive.
And he could do it in the postseason, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget that.
And he can do it in the postseason when he doesn't break his back.
Yeah, in the finals
Pause.
specifically too. All right, so transitioning to that, I'll go into my flowers guy. This is a guy right here, winning his last 3 games he's played this week, averaging over 28 points a game, over 6 assists, over 6 boards, and 2 steals. Feels like we've strongly, been glancing over the fact that he's been a real deal hooper who's transitioned into being a team-oriented guy with a stacked roster, and that is Jason Tatum. And I know, boo-hoo, what a hard thing to do. You have so much talent on your roster, but we've seen it plenty of times. Guys end up getting a little bit more, higher-end players onto their team. There's just a surge of talent onto the roster. And Tatum, at the young age of 25, seems like he knows how to handle it all and win at the highest level. I mean, this young man has made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, it seems like damn near every single time.
Every year.
Every year. You can kind of go ahead and fill that in. And it just seems like that he knows how to win. And I think his ability to not rely on the 3 ball so much this year, I mean, he's obviously still shooting very well from there, but he's going back to what made him so good, being able to hit the mid-range. I feel like Joe Mazzulla is a very big, not Daryl Morey all the way with just 3s and 2s, but it felt like there was a strong emphasis on his first year last year with that. And it seems like...
And the Celtics are the number 1 team at those Morey ball shots with the most combined shots at the rim and the 3. Like, they break that down. But like to your point, you want your stars to have the freedom to score wherever they see fit, and Tatum is really taking that to heart and is just going about it however way he can. It's just the guys like Derek White and Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett that are at the rim or at the 3-point line.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see. Really feels crazy. This is one of the first guys I feel like I really got to see. Obviously growing up, but just being completely locked into the NBA.
Yeah,
it's
his
one of those
whole
guys
career.
You saw just go through all the way.
From draft to the whole thing. Like, we've been very tapped into his career, and he's fucking awesome. And he's still only 19.
He's still only 19 years old. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, going from the dunk on LeBron, I think that was his rookie or sophomore year in that Eastern Conference Finals.
This is his rookie year, and then he bumps chest with him.
Bumps chest, yells at him. There's literally pictures of him showing up to the LeBron James camp when he was 14 years old. Just super cool to see. I'm not a Celtics fan by any means necessary, but really do enjoy a lot of the players over there. Still a big Jaylen Brown guy. Really like Derek White. Really love the addition of Drew Holiday. He's fit like a fucking glove on that team, and it kind of that is what we expected flat out. But I mean, what a great quality to have from your superstar. Just a guy who's okay with more talent coming onto the roster, guys who can take more shots. I mean, Drew Holiday's not a shot chucker by any means necessary, but he will take some of those 3s. He'll be able to be a facilitator, likes to have the ball in his hands. Jason Tatum was playing point guard a lot at the end of these games, and Drew Holiday is someone that you can rely on to bring the ball up down the floor. And so just really cool to see him take the open shots, abuse those pick and rolls in that mid range. It's just something I missed seeing from him, and not like a mid range like how he kind of was doing at the beginning of his career, with the whole really trying to be like Kobe stuff, or just what's given to him. Taking his floater game has gotten a little bit better, which I love to see from any of the high end level players. I mean, we see a guy like Jokic just absolutely kill a whole league with his nasty ass 2-foot floaters. So it's just really cool to see. I think he deserves his flowers. We kind of forget just because of how good they are. It's one of those teams where it's like the Wilt Chamberlain effect. Like, oh yeah, they're good. They know. Oh yeah, the Patriots. They're obviously they're gonna make it there. They're good there. But it's a guy who still deserves his flowers. Big fan of Jason Tatum. I'll be honest. Big fan of Jason Tatum. So
yeah, shout out to Jason Tatum.
Shout out JT. Man, that gentleman nice. So going on to the next one. What is your soil guy, TJ?
Jarrett Allen.
Oh, nice.
Out in Cleveland. Right now, we got Mobley missing time. Mitchell's missed time. Garland's missed time. The last cut in their most 2 recent games against Dallas, he had 23 rebounds and 24 points with 6 assists and 2 steals. Against Milwaukee, he finishes with 30 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks. Just keeping things together. They get the win against Dallas, don't pull through against the Bucks, but still just absolutely dominating. He's fighting down low. He's catching it in the high post, ripping through strong. He gave Derek Lively definitely a welcome to the league moment in that game, just dominating him. Like I said, 23 rebounds, 24 points. Just kind of, I think that's going to be on Derek Lively's mind for a long time. He's always going to remember that game, it seems like. And, just like we said, with Mobley out, he's putting in that work to kind of keep them competitive, keep that defense going. I do think that if the Cavs aren't able to kind of turn these wins around, obviously they're the 6th seed right now. If they kind of if they drop and are kind of teetering towards the play-in near the trade deadline, I could definitely see Jared Allen being a guy that they move off of to bring some assets in, and he could help a lot of teams out right now.
How do you feel? This is going to be a crazy one. How do you feel about Jared Allen potentially going to the Oklahoma City Thunder and letting Chet Holmgren play his traditional 4 spot?
That would honestly be perfect. I think that would be amazing because the problem with Allen and Mobley is that they're both non-shooters. Mm-hmm. And Chet, obviously, we see him being able to space the floor. He's taken Rudy Gobert off the dribble and stuff. I think that would be a perfect fit next to him. Kind of, you can move Giddey to coming off the bench if he's not in jail. And then you can, kind of figure it out from there. So definitely it should be a target for the Thunder, I think.
Yeah, no, and I just brought that up. I heard that recently. That's a great pick by your end. I really like the Jared Allen, that Jared Allen pick. I think he'd be a perfect fit on this OKC team. I really would like to see him go somewhere, and I'd like to speak on the Cavs as a whole. I would like to see, they're making it work at the moment, being the 6th seed. They looked really good last year, I think, ending up being the 3rd seed, but like I said, it doesn't seem like Mitchell loves it over there. I mean, he still has had quotes where he said, he's probably going to still end up in New York at some time in his career, would really like to do that. So they do decide to, go ahead and just do the complete rebuild around Mobley and Garland. I wouldn't be opposed to that, and I would really like to see him on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Any other final thoughts on Jared Allen, or you got your eye out?
Nah, those are the main ones. Just my soil guy for now. Love the dirty work he's putting in. So who you got on your end?
Yeah, I cheated a little bit. I picked a Sun. It's going to be Chimezie Metu. The DeAndre Ayton lookalike, he's shown that he wants to take those minutes, and I know we talked about it earlier, but go ahead and be in that starting position. I mean, we've heard people from all over the league say, hey, this guy looks pretty legit, kind of like the perfect fit for the Suns, in that starting lineup.
A true stretch 4. He's a true stretch 4, and that's the role he needs to play.
And he puts in the dirty work. I mean, if we're looking at the last, 3 games, I think he's averaging 12 and 9 on 55% of the field. I just love the energy that this guy plays. Just more of a vibes thing. He just comes out there and does his thing. He's not a shit talker by any means necessary. Not a Draymond Green type of guy, but more just a putting in the dirty work. I mean, he had fucking 40,000 rebounds against the Mavericks. It was pretty cool to see.
That's how it felt.
It felt like that. Yeah, and he had his 23 bomb. And I know that game specifically does inflate his stats a little bit. But
my only issue with Metu right now is sometimes he can get a little over-eager on offense and want to go get a bucket when he doesn't necessarily have to, trying to take guys off the dribble and stuff. I would love for him to just be a spot-up guy, a roll guy. But obviously, he could put the ball on the deck fairly well, and it's not something that I hate. But definitely, if the Suns are going to be legit this year, we need Metu to be a real soil guy.
For sure, and our boy Eddie Johnson was even saying his stroke is he gives himself a chance. It's not one of the gives himself a chance with that stroke. No, but he does. He has a shot that's gonna it goes over the rim. It's not like the traditional in his position where some of the guys in his role are just kind of flat. I really do just enjoy what he brings to the team at the moment, and maybe that is me. Just the bar is kind of low. I mean, Chimezie Metu is not going to be an all NBA player, an all defensive player anytime soon. I don't think that's not what his trajectory is looking like, especially considering everything. But I really do like what he brings to the team. And I think, did you have anything else you want to add on that Metu, or can I go on to my little question right here?
Nah, go ahead. I love Metu. He needs to start. Let's go.
I wanted to ask you, TJ. So we've talked about it before, and this is the Suns podcast, just flat out. But if the Phoenix Suns organization randomly had, in another universe, it just completely exploded, no longer in the NBA anymore, just there's only 14 teams in the West, who would be your team?
So that's actually really funny you mentioned this, because my brother-in-law asked me the same question a couple of weeks ago, who would be my favorite team would the Suns have never existed. I had a few different thoughts. As you know, my dad's side of the family is all from the Chicago area. So I'm a big Bears and a big Cubs fan. Just never got around on the Bulls. It was always just the Suns for me. So part of me would want to say the Bulls to kind of stick with those Chicago roots. But truly what I think it would be, when I really started getting into basketball in like 2008, 2009, that's when James Harden came out of Arizona State after having season tickets to see him. He's drafted 3rd by the Thunder, and I had just fully adopted them. That's part of the reason why I love KD so much. He's him and Harden are 2 of my favorite just players ever that are non-Sun. Well, KD's a Sun now, but you know what I mean? So honestly, I think I would be a Thunder fan. I still root for those guys. I like that they were the relocation, kind of the new franchise. So honestly, I think I would be a Thunder fan. I think that would have been the perfect time for me to kind of come into that.
Yeah, and even with that team, not yet having themselves a championship, I mean, the future looks extra bright. That's not the worst pick in the entire world, I would have to say.
Yeah, I love the branding. I love their mascot, the Bison. Just the name, the Thunder is just super cool. I love it. So what would you say then?
So mine, and it's not just because of the current, guy that I'm a huge fan of. I mean, it does play a part into like helping this decision. But at the time when I was really falling in love with basketball, probably just a little bit later than you, just because you are 9 years older than me.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fucking 2 years older.
No, it was around where I really fell in love with the NBA. It was around that 2012, 2013 season. Obviously I was tapped in, and I was always just kind of a LeBron hater, especially since that move to Miami. Just heads up, love LeBron now, trying to appreciate everything I can from the man. But I would have to go with the Indiana Pacers. Really was a fan of Danny Granger. I know a lot of you guys.
I loved Danny Granger. Danny Granger he was the man.
He was that fucking guy in 2K.
Roy Hibbert verticality. Let's go.
Paul George. I was even a fan of Paul George a lot at that time. PG-24. You know what I'm saying?
People forget. People forget about PG-24.
A lot of kids don't know. A lot of kids don't know about that. And then just, transitioning into the modern day. Or even if you want to go in between. I really like the Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis team. I've just always had a weird connection to the Indiana Pacers. And currently with Tyrese Halliburton and that whole squad, it would just really, it adds up. It adds up. So
the history of Reggie Miller, that's a great 30 for 30. That winning time with Reggie Miller, I love that.
That was one of the first basketball documentaries I've seen as well. So that also goes into a part of it as well.
Yeah, no, it's a good pick. It was a couple of Pacers and Thunder fans over here. If the Suns don't get this turned around, at least we got some hope the other way.
Closeted. And I feel like you're kind of a scumbag for picking a West team, if I'm being honest. But
that's fair. That's fair. I guess my alternative, if I had to pick a team in the East, this is honestly a bitch answer too. It would be the Celtics. Just Simmons because, I grew up. It's kind of stupid why I liked Boston teams to start. This is so dumb. My sister, when she was playing T-ball, we were both at the same time, her team was the Yankees. So she was just like, oh, I love the Yankees, blah, 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 New York this, blah, blah, blah. And so I'd ask my dad, all right, well, who hates the Yankees? Who's their rival? And he's like, oh, the Red Sox. So then I was like, oh, I like the Red Sox, which turned into in the Celtics. And then, as you know, I'm a Bill Simmons fanboy, read the book of basketball when I was 9 years old, and all that Celtics propaganda just seeped in. So if I had to pick an East team, I might go with the Celtics. But I still have a more emotional connection to the Thunder, I think.
That's funny. It was right when your brain was malleable at 9.
Exactly. That's literally what my dad called it. He was like, you're reading that Celtics propaganda. Because I was like, oh, Russell's way better than Chamberlain. You don't even see this. Oh, people forget about Dave Cowens and John Havlicek. Tommy Heinzen. Come on, man. Come on.
Sam Jones? We're going to ignore Sam Jones?
I did have a Robert Parrish jersey for most of my youth. I got that when I was 10. So shout out to the Chief.
That's fucking hilarious. And with you just thinking that Larry Bird and Bob Cousy are top 5 players of all time, it makes sense.
Oh, fuck you. You're a bastard.
I'm done. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Bright Now podcast, episode 13. This was actually one of my favorites. Felt pretty natural, pretty flowing through.
It was fun. Apart from the Luka 50 bomb, everything else is okay in the Phoenix world.
It is. Just a heads up to the fans. We are, if you made it this far in the podcast, we are going to have a little bit discussion on how to elevate our podcast for this new year in 2024. So just be prepared for that. It might not be in this next episode specifically, but going into the new year, whether that be the second podcast of the year, episode 15, we're looking to elevate, and we appreciate you guys for watching as always. Any other final comments, TJ?
Yeah, just thanks to the fans. Thanks for the people that tune in. Really appreciate it. We got a lot of more good stuff coming for you. So just thanks for being on the ride with us. Really appreciate it. And 2024, great things are coming for the Bright Now podcast.
Let's go, baby. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, as always, have a phenomenal rest of your day.